Nobody was ready for what they saw. One moment, Heartland looked just like always. The ranch, the horses, the peaceful life, it was all still there. But then Amy walked out into the light and everything changed. She looked different, older, wiser, and then fans noticed something else, something much bigger. Her hand kept resting on her stomach. Was it possible? Could Amy be pregnant again? And just like that, everything fans thought they knew about season 19 was turned upside down. Asterisk, the beginning of Heartland season 19 doesn't feel like a simple continuation. It feels like a whole new chapter. The opening scenes are quiet but strange. The camera shows the familiar land of Hudson, but something feels different. The trees look fuller, the sun brighter, and the house more lived in. Everything looks slightly older, more worn, like time has passed and no one told us. And then Amy steps outside and the truth becomes clear. This isn't a few months later. This is a time jump. Amy's clothes are different too. Not just in color or style, but in feeling. She's wearing soft sweaters, long coats, and comfortable shoes. Her face looks the same, but there's a calmness in her eyes that wasn't there before. Like she's been through something, like life moved on and she had to move with it. This wasn't the same Amy from last season. This Amy had changed, and fans could feel it. The time jump isn't explained right away. There are no big speeches or captions. Instead, the show lets you feel it. Jack's beard is fuller, and he walks a bit slower. Lou seems more focused, maybe even a little tired. And Lyndy looks like she's grown fast. She speaks more clearly, asks deeper questions. That's when viewers realize this is not just a few months later. This is at least a year, maybe more. The show doesn't say. It just shows Dot, and then there's Amy again. Standing near the barn, looking at the horses, quiet. She holds her hands in front of her body, but something is strange. She keeps placing one hand gently over her stomach. Once, twice, 3 times. At first, it looks normal, maybe just a habit. But then she pauses. She breathes slowly. Her eyes close for a second, like she's thinking about something deep inside her. That's when fans online started talking. Everyone asked the same question was, Amy pregnant? No one expected this. After everything she had gone through, losing Ty, raising Lyndy alone, rebuilding her strength, it didn't seem like pregnancy would be part of her story again. But that's what makes it powerful. Heartland didn't make a big announcement. It didn't throw a celebration, it whispered it. It dropped hints, a soft coat, a gentle hand, a knowing smile, and in that silence fans heard the loudest twist of all. It was a bold move for the show. A surprise that didn't feel like drama, it felt like life, like how real life moves forward even when we're not ready. Amy's journey has always been about healing, but this twist brought something new, hope. The time jump wasn't just about skipping years, it was about showing us that Amy had kept living, that something beautiful was growing even after so much pain. As the episode continues, nothing is said clearly. There's no direct talk of due dates or ultrasounds, but every moment with Amy adds another piece to the puzzle. She moves slower. She eats carefully. She avoids certain chores, and the people around her, they treat her with a little more care. Not because she's weak, but because something new is beginning. Fans started to search for every clue. They rewatched scenes, paused at frames, zoomed in on every soft gesture. The internet buzzed. Reddit threads exploded. Twitter lit up with questions. Is Amy really pregnant? How far along is she? Who's the father? But the show gave no answers, just silence. The kind of silence that speaks louder than words. The time jump didn't just age the characters. It brought mystery, emotion, a shift in the air. It told fans, this is not the same story anymore. Heartland had grown, and Amy had grown with it. And whatever comes next, whoever that baby is, wherever that path leads, one thing is sure. Amy's life is about to change again, and it all began with a quiet walk in the sun, and a hand resting gently on her stomach. Asterisk, it wasn't just the time jump that left fans shocked, it was Amy herself. She didn't say a word about any big news, but her silence spoke volumes. The moment she appeared on screen, fans noticed something had changed. Not just her hairstyle, not just her clothes, Amy looked different in a deeper way. It was in her eyes, in her smile, and in the way she moved. There was softness in her expression, a gentle glow on her face. But there was also something else, a hidden message written in every quiet moment. Amy has always been strong. After Ty died, she became even stronger. But now that strength looked different. It wasn't tough or guarded. It was soft, warm, and full of care. She wasn't just living, she was protecting something. Viewers quickly started pointing out small details. Amy was wearing looser sweaters, oversized coats, and long scarves. Not her usual riding gear. Not the fitted jackets or flannel shirts we were used to. It was almost like she was trying to hide something, but the biggest clue came in the little moments when Amy would place her hand gently on her stomach. It wasn't obvious at first. Just a soft touch here and there when no one was looking, but it happened again and again, and then fans couldn't ignore it. Amy wasn't just dressed differently, she was carrying herself like someone who had something growing inside her, a new life. A new reason to be careful with every step she took. Even her conversations were different. When Lou asked her to help with something heavy, Amy paused. "Maybe not right now," she said with a small smile. No one questioned it, but fans did. Why was she taking it easy? Why was Lou checking in on her more often, making sure she was okay? And why did Jack suddenly start offering to do Amy's chores, even the small ones she always handled herself? The answers were never spoken. That was the beauty of it. Heartland has always trusted its viewers to feel things before hearing them, and this moment was no different. Amy didn't need to make a grand announcement. She simply existed, and in that quiet presence, her truth began to show. Her glow wasn't just makeup or lighting. It was real. Her eyes looked brighter, her skin softer, her smile more peaceful. Amy looked like a woman who had found something worth holding close, something new, something fragile and full of promise. The show gave fans just enough to ask questions, but not enough to answer them. Amy walked past a mirror and glanced down at her reflection. Her hand brushed across her stomach again, slow and natural. When she sat on the porch with Jack, he asked her softly, "You feeling all right today?" Amy nodded. "Just a little tired." That one word tired felt heavy, not sad, just full. Full of new energy, new life, growing slowly in silence. Everywhere paused, rewound, and watched again. This wasn't an accident. The writers were building something, quietly, carefully, and it all started with Amy's new look. She wasn't just older. She wasn't just wiser. She was preparing for what we didn't know yet. But one thing was sure, Amy was not the same woman she was before the time jump. Even Lyndy seemed to notice something. In one scene, she gently leaned her head against Amy's belly, not her shoulder, not her lap, her belly. It was small, sweet, and completely unplanned, or so it seemed. Amy smiled and stroked Lyndy's hair, but said nothing. Not a single word about what that moment meant. The camera didn't need to zoom in. The music didn't need to swell. The fans already knew. The clues weren't loud, but they were everywhere. In the way Amy refused a second cup of coffee. In how she avoided riding her horse at full speed. In her softer tone when she spoke about the future. It was a different kind of storytelling, a quiet storm that said, "Pay attention." Amy's story has always been about healing, but now it feels like it's about creation, about starting something new while still honoring the past, about letting love back in even if it looks different than before. And while the show hasn't said the words, the audience already believes it. Amy is pregnant. And this time, the journey is hers alone, full of mystery, emotion, and the promise of new beginnings. Something had shifted in the Heartland household, and those closest to Amy seemed to know more than they were saying. Jack, usually quiet and reserved, watched Amy with new eyes like he was guarding something precious. Lou, always busy and direct, became more careful with her words whenever Amy entered the room. The family wasn't speaking openly, but their actions screamed louder than dialogue ever could. Jack has always been Amy's rock. But now, his protectiveness had taken on a new form. He wasn't just checking on the horses or the ranch, he was checking on her. When Amy went to lift a small bale of hay, Jack rushed over. "I got it," he said quickly, brushing her aside. Gently, Amy didn't argue. She simply nodded and stepped back. There was no awkwardness. It felt like they had done this before, like this wasn't new to them, only new to the viewers. That moment, quiet as it was, told a whole story without saying a word. Lou, on the other hand, was harder to read. She had always been blunt, always quick to speak her mind. But now she hesitated. When Amy sat down at the dinner table one night and picked at her food, Lou noticed. "You're not eating much," she said, voice low. Amy just smiled. "Not that hungry." Jack gave Lou a look that said, "Don't push it," and Lou changed the subject. Just like that. That wasn't like Lou at all. Later, while walking with Amy across the ranch, Lou started to say something. "Have you thought about—" she began, then stopped. Amy looked at her, waiting. But Lou just smiled and shook her head. "Never mind." The camera lingered on Amy's expression. She knew what Lou wanted to ask, but neither of them said it. It was a silent agreement. The secret, for now, would stay between them. Even Katie seemed to pick up on the mood. She asked Lou in passing, "Is Aunt Amy okay?" Lou paused, clearly unsure how to answer. "She's just taking it easy." That was all, but it was enough. The tension wasn't heavy, it was tender. Like the whole family was tiptoeing around a fragile joy they didn't want to break by naming it too soon. And then came the quiet. Moments that said everything. Jack fixing up the cradle that had once held Lyndy, Lou unpacking old baby blankets from a storage box and dusting them off, even though no one had asked her to. The way they both glanced toward Amy while doing it softly, lovingly, as if preparing without needing permission. Heartland has always thrived on subtle emotion, and this was a masterclass in it. Every glance, every pause, every unfinished sentence, it all built toward one unspoken truth. The family knew, and they weren't just aware, they were ready. Ready to support Amy, to protect her, to give her the space she needed until she was ready to say the words out loud. It wasn't just a twist in the story. It was a quiet celebration of family, of how love shows up, not with big declarations, but with quiet acts of care. Jack offering tea instead of coffee. Lou scheduling fewer events to stay close to home. Tim not even present in every episode, calling more often and asking questions he never used to ask. "Is everything okay out there?" he'd say. But his tone said he already knew. This part of the story didn't need drama. It needed heart. And that's exactly what it gave. Amy's pregnancy, though unspoken, became the thread pulling her family even closer. And in a show built on love, loss, and healing, this gentle return to togetherness felt like the most powerful moment of all. They were waiting. Not just for a birth, but for Amy to speak. And until she did, they held her close in the only way Heartland knows how, with love, silence, and small acts of grace. Just when fans began to embrace the idea of a new beginning for Amy, the past gently knocked on the door. Ty may be gone from Heartland, but his presence hasn't faded. In fact, in season 19, it feels stronger than ever. He's not in the scenes, but he's in every corner of the ranch, every memory, every heartbeat that Amy carries. And as whispers of her pregnancy grow louder, Ty's shadow becomes a quiet part of her journey. It starts with a simple moment: Amy alone in the loft, holding a small photo frame. The picture inside is old, one fans have seen many times. Ty smiling, his arm around her, the wind catching his hair. She doesn't cry, she just looks. And in that silence, something stirs. The kind of silence that's heavy with love, not loss. That moment wasn't just for Amy, it was for us, a reminder that Ty is still a part of her story. No matter where life leads next, throughout the season, Amy speaks about Ty in passing, to Lyndy, mostly. Their conversations are soft, warm, like bedtime prayers. "Your dad loved this trail," she says while writing. Or, "Ty would have laughed at that," when Lyndy tells a joke. It's not painful anymore. It's gentle, familiar, like Ty is watching, guiding, still walking beside them even if they can't see him. But then the questions start, from Lyndy, from viewers, from deep inside Amy herself. "Mom, if I have a little brother, will he know?" Dad too? Amy freezes when Lyndy says that. The words land hard, but not with sadness, with meaning. She kneels, looks her daughter in the eyes, and says, "He'll know your dad through us. Through the stories, the love, and the life we keep building." That's when the truth begins to show. Amy isn't trying to replace Ty, she's honoring him. And whatever this new child is, it's a part of that tribute. Flashbacks begin to slip into the narrative, not dramatic or forced, but smooth, natural. We see young Amy and Ty during quiet moments, walking hand in hand across the fields, laughing under the stars, holding newborn Lyndy with awe and love. These memories are stitched into the fabric of season 19, as if the writers are inviting the audience to remember him just as clearly as Amy does. There's one flashback that hits hardest Amy sitting beside Ty as he talks about the future. "No matter what happens, I know you'll be okay," he says. "You're stronger than you think. And if something ever happens to me, promise me you'll keep living, keep loving. Don't close the door." That line, likely forgotten by many fans until now, returns like a wave crashing onto the shore. Amy remembers that promise. And maybe, just maybe, that's why she finally opened her heart to the idea of more. Not to replace Ty, but to carry forward his belief in her strength. The pregnancy is not a betrayal. It's a continuation, a quiet vow that Amy is still living. The life they dreamed about, even if she's doing it alone, and she isn't really alone because Ty is there in every decision. In every fear, in every smile Lyndy gives her. He's there in the way Jack supports her without needing to speak. In Lou's nervous glances. In the way the horses seem to sense something new in the air. Ty's presence is everywhere, not haunting the story, but holding it. Season 19 doesn't erase the pain of losing him, but it reshapes it into something softer, something warmer, a foundation instead of a wound. Amy doesn't need to say his name for fans to feel him. She carries him in her eyes. And when she touches her stomach, when she walks slower or sits longer, you can almost hear Ty whisper, "You've got this, Ames." It's that emotional thread that keeps fans glued to the screen. They want to know what comes next, who this child will be, what new path Amy will walk. But more than anything, they want to feel that even in change, love remains. And in Heartland, love never dies, it just finds new ways to grow. Asterisk, the question everyone's afraid to ask is the one sitting heavy in the hearts of every fan. If Amy is truly pregnant, then who's the father? For weeks, the silence has been louder than any answer. The showrunners have left breadcrumb after breadcrumb, but no name, no confession, and not even a slip of the tongue from Amy. Still, in that silence, the mystery grows. It wraps itself around every scene, every look, every passing glance. And fans can't stop guessing. First, the obvious question, is it someone we already know? The most popular theory spreading across fan groups and online forums is Caleb. He's always been close to Amy, even when Ty was around. They've shared years of friendship, emotional support, and trust. After Ty's death, Caleb became one of the few who truly understood Amy's grief. But that's the thing, it was always just friendship, or was it? In season 19, there's a moment when Amy and Caleb share a quiet talk in the barn. She smiles. He laughs nervously, and then ... a long pause. They don't say anything important, but the way they don't speak says everything. Then comes the second theory, Sam Langston. The rugged horse rancher with a quiet charm and gentle eyes. He was there for Amy during tough times, especially after Ty passed. The way he respected her space, the way he never pushed, won fans over quickly. In one episode this season, he visits Heartland again just briefly. He brings a gift for Lyndy and shares a warm, lingering look with Amy. Nothing romantic is said. But something passes between them, a memory, a secret. Fans noticed it, and they haven't stopped talking about it since, but not every theory includes someone familiar. Some believe Amy may have chosen a different path, one without romance. After losing Ty, she might not have wanted to open her heart again. In this version of the story, Amy chose to have another child on her own. With medical help, it's not just a wild guess. There are scenes that support it. Lou once asks her, "Do you want to tell her, or should I?" And Amy responds, not. Yet let's give her time. It feels like they're talking about Lyndy, and it feels like a decision that wasn't made with a man, but with strength. Still, the mystery doesn't stop there. Some fans, clinging to hope and fantasy, ask the question they know can't be true but wish it were. Could it still be Ty's? Maybe a plan made before his death, maybe something Amy saved, maybe a choice she delayed until she was ready to heal. The idea feels far-fetched, even impossible, but it's Heartland. The show has always balanced realism with emotional depth. And the idea of Amy carrying Ty's child years later is almost too beautiful for fans to ignore. The writers don't give us a clear answer. Not yet. Instead, they feed the mystery. Amy avoids direct questions. Jack shifts the topic. Lou dances around the truth. Even when Katie jokingly asks, "So who's the lucky guy?" Amy just smiles and says, "It's a long story." That's it, that one line. And yet, it feels like a storm hiding behind the calm. And what about Amy herself? What does her body language say? Every time someone mentions the future, her hand goes to her belly. When someone mentions Ty, her eyes go soft. When someone says, "You're not alone," her face twitches like she wants to cry, but holds it in. These are not the actions of a woman trapped in drama. These are the moments of someone carrying a secret that's both joyful and terrifying. Fans have taken to social media with theories, debates, and emotional posts. Some are angry, some are heartbroken, some are full of hope. But all of them want the same thing: to know. Because knowing who the father is doesn't just answer a plot point. It answers a bigger question. Where is Amy's heart now? Has she let go of Ty's memory to embrace someone new? Has she found a new kind of love? Or is she walking this road completely alone with nothing but strength and memory to guide her? So far, Heartland refuses to give us that answer. But the silence isn't empty, it's full. Full of emotion, full of meaning, full of suspense. And until Amy speaks her truth, fans will keep watching every look, every word, every touch, hoping for that one moment where the mystery ends. And the next chapter truly begins. Lyndy has always been Amy's reason to keep going. After Ty's death, it was her daughter's tiny hands, soft voice, and wide eyes that held Amy together when everything else had fallen apart. But now, in Season 19, something has changed, not just in Amy, but in Lyndy too. She's no longer the quiet little girl chasing butterflies around the ranch. She's observant, curious, and wise beyond her years. And somehow, without being told anything, Lyndy seems to understand that something big is happening. It begins with small questions. "Mom, why are you always tired now?" she asks one morning while brushing her horse. Amy pauses, taken by surprise. She gives a soft smile. "I guess I'm just getting older." But Lyndy doesn't buy it. Not because she's suspicious, but because she knows her mother. She knows Amy is stronger than anyone. So if she's slowing down, resting more, or holding her belly when no one's watching, it must mean something. There's a scene where Lyndy brings Amy a glass of warm milk before bedtime. She sets it gently on the table and says, "Grandpa said warm milk is good for the baby." Amy looks up, startled. "What baby?" she whispers. Lyndy just shrugs. "I don't know. I just heard him say that." And then she walks away, leaving Amy frozen. That moment lingers. Not because it confirms anything, but because it shows how much Lyndy is already connected to what's happening, even if no one's told her the truth. As the episodes unfold, we see Lyndy stepping into a new role, not just as a daughter, but as someone deeply bonded to her mother's emotions. She watches Amy closely. She notices when Amy winces slightly while bending down or when she skips her morning ride. Lyndy doesn't speak often about it, but her silence is loud. Her questions are soft. "Will I have to share my room?" she asks during breakfast. Amy looks up slowly, unsure how to answer. "Why do you ask?" Lyndy grins. "Because I think someone small is coming." It's in these moments that Amy realizes she can't protect Lyndy from everything, but she can include her in the journey, and more importantly, she should. There's no big announcement, no dramatic reveal. Just a quiet evening on the porch, with stars overhead and crickets chirping. Amy gently pulls Lyndy close and whispers, "You might be right. Someone small might be joining us soon." Lyndy doesn't look shocked. She just leans into Amy's side, smiles, and says, "I hope it's a girl. But if it's a boy, I'll still love him." That moment breaks something open in Amy. All this time, she's carried the weight of grief, strength, and now, new life, all on her own. But her daughter's calm, loving heart shows her something she hadn't seen before. This new chapter isn't just hers, it's theirs. Lyndy isn't losing her mother to change. She's gaining a sibling, a new kind of love, and a deeper bond with Amy. Season 19 uses Lyndy not just as a character, but as a reflection of Amy's journey. Every smile from Lyndy is a reminder that time has passed, that healing has been slow but real, that love, when nurtured, doesn't fade, it multiplies. And through Lyndy's questions and quiet wisdom, Amy grows. She becomes softer, more open, less guarded. She starts preparing, not just her home, but her heart. One of the most touching moments comes when Lyndy places her hand on Amy's belly and says, "Do you think they can hear me?" Amy laughs gently. "Maybe not yet, but soon." Lyndy leans down and whispers, "Hi, I'm your big sister." That's when Amy's eyes fill with tears, not of sadness, but of something deeper. A mix of gratitude, peace, and the quiet joy of watching her daughter grow into someone who understands love in its purest form. Amy's growth isn't loud or sudden. It's slow, like spring thawing winter. She moves differently now. She smiles more often. She lets herself be helped. And most importantly, she lets herself be loved again by her family, by Lyndy, and maybe, just maybe, by the idea of another child, because Heartland has never been about perfect lives. It's about real ones. And in this season, Amy's story becomes not just about what she's lost, but what she's still capable of gaining. Heartland has always been more than a show. It's a legacy, a story of pain, strength, love, and healing that has grown with its audience for nearly 2 decades. And now, with Amy's quiet transformation, a new question rises. Where is Heartland going from here? Because the reveal of her pregnancy isn't just a twist, it's a turning point. And it changes everything. For years, Amy's story has been about survival, about learning to live again after Ty, about being strong for Lyndy, for the horses, for the ranch. She's carried the weight of grief with dignity, becoming a symbol of quiet endurance. But this season, it introduces something Heartland hasn't shown in a long time: a beginning. Not a return to the past, but a brave step forward into something unknown, something hopeful. Her pregnancy doesn't just open a new chapter for her, it reshapes the entire world around her. Lou begins pulling back from city life more and more, wanting to be closer to home. Jack, already the emotional anchor of the family, steps into a protective role with even more warmth. Tim, once wild and unpredictable, now calls regularly, offering to help more than ever. The family senses what's coming, change, but this change doesn't bring fear. It brings purpose. The Heartland Ranch, once filled with sorrow after Ty's passing, starts to feel different again, like it's waking up. There's laughter in the kitchen, there's energy in the barn, and there's a quiet joy in Amy's eyes that had been missing for too long. The ripple effect is undeniable. Even the horses seem to respond to her calmer presence, to her newfound peace. It's as if the land itself is preparing for something beautiful. And what about the viewers? They're not just watching a new baby storyline. They're witnessing growth, organic, patient, earned. Heartland has never been a show that rushes emotions or forces big moments. It lets them bloom. And Amy's journey from loss to life again has been the most powerful bloom of all. Fans feel every beat of it. They've cried with her, healed with her, and now they're ready to celebrate with her. The most important part of this shift is what it means for the soul of Heartland. This is not a story about moving on, it's a story about moving forward. The writers don't erase Ty's memory, they build on it. His presence lingers not like a ghost, but like a light guiding Amy from behind. His love helped shape her. And now, it's helping shape the future through Lyndy, through this new child, through Amy's return to herself. And maybe that's what Heartland has been building toward all along. The show started with a tragedy, Marion's death. It continued with struggle ties, pain, Amy's injuries, and the long path of growing up. And then came the heartbreak ties, death, the hardest goodbye. But through it all, the message stayed the same: family, faith, and healing. Amy's pregnancy is the living proof that healing doesn't mean forgetting, it means allowing joy to return. Even after all the tears. Season 19 ends with quiet anticipation, not a big reveal, not a final answer, but a moment Amy sitting under the stars, Lyndy asleep in her lap, her hand resting gently on her belly. The camera doesn't zoom in, it just lingers. Long enough for fans to feel what comes next. Not drama, not tragedy. Life. What comes next for Heartland isn't about who the father is or how Amy will manage everything. It's about how love continues, how families grow, not just through blood, but through choices, through memories, through courage. Amy is pregnant, but more than that, she's ready. And so is Heartland. So where does the story go from here? Exactly where it was always meant to go, forward, together.